Here we go. Okay, hello everybody. Today is Tuesday, and I'm here at camper. Beth is at home. She is also recording this to put on other platforms other than just what we do here for our friends and family on Facebook. We are still in that book there. We are still in Ezekiel chapter 40, the inner courtyard and temple. Ezekiel 40, starting at verse 47.
Technical difficulty.
Then the man measured the inner courtyard, and it was square, 175 feet wide and 175 feet across. The altar stood in the courtyard in front of the temple. Then he brought me to the entry room of the temple. He measured walls on either side of the opening to the entry room, and they were 4 3/4 feet thick. The entrance itself was 24.5 feet wide, and the walls on each side of the entrance were 35 feet wide and 21 feet deep. There were 10 steps leading up to it, with a column on each side. Now we're moving into, that's the end of chapter 40, we're moving into chapter 41, verse 1. After that, the man brought me into the area of the temple. He measured the walls on either side of its doorway, and they were 10.5 feet thick. The doorway was 17.5 feet wide, and the walls on each side of it were 8 3/4 feet long. The sanctuary itself was 70 feet long and 35 feet wide. Then he went beyond the sanctuary into the inner room. He measured the walls on either side of its entrance, and they were 3.5 feet thick. The entrance was 10.5 feet wide, and the walls on each side of the entrance were 12.25 feet long. The room of the sanctuary was 35 feet long and 35 feet wide. This, he told me, is the most holy place. Then he measured the wall of the temple, and it was 10.5 feet thick. There was a row of rooms along the outside wall. Each room was 7 feet wide. These side rooms were built in 3 levels, one above the other, with 30 rooms in each level. The supports for these side rooms rested on the exterior ledges of the temple wall. They did not extend into the wall. Each level was wider than the one below it, corresponding to the narrowing of the temple wall as it rose higher. A stairway led up to the bottom level through the middle level to the top. I saw the temple was built on a terrace, which provided a foundation for the side rooms. The terrace was 10.5 feet high. The outer wall of the side rooms was 8 3/4. This left an open area between the side rooms and the row of rooms along the outer wall of the inner courtyard. This open area was 35 feet wide, and it went all the way around the temple. The 2 doors opened from the side rooms to the terrace yard, which was 8 3/4 feet wide. One door faced north and the other south. A large building stood on the west, facing the temple courtyard. It was 122.5 feet wide and 157.5 feet long, and its walls were 8 3/4 feet thick. Then the man measured the temple, and it was 175 feet long. The courtyard around the building and its walls was an additional 175 feet in length. The inner courtyard to the east of the temple was also 175 feet wide. The temple to the west, including its 2 walls, was also 175 feet wide. The sanctuary, the inner room, and the entry room of the temple, all paneled with wood, as the frames of the recessed windows. The inner walls of the temple were paneled with above and below the windows. The space above the door leading into the inner room and inside and out were also paneled. All the walls were decorated with carvings of cherubim, each with 2 faces, and there was a carving of a palm tree between each of the cherubim. One face, that of a man, looked toward the palm tree on one side. The other face, that of a young lion, looked toward the palm tree on the other side. The figures were carved along the inside of the temple, from the door to the top of the walls, including the outer wall of the sanctuary. There were square columns at the entrance to the sanctuary, and ones at the entrance of the most holy place were similar. There was an altar made of wood, 5.5 feet high, 3.5 feet across. Its corners, base, and sides were all made of wood. The man told me, it stands in the Lord's presence. Both the sanctuary and the most holy place had double doorways, each with two swinging doors. The doors leading into the sanctuary were decorated and carved cherubim and palm trees, as on the walls. And there was a wooden roof at the front of the entry room of the temple. On the sides of the entry room was recessed windows decorated with carved palm trees. The side rooms along the outside walls. Okay. That was that. And now the commentary. God's essential theme throughout the Old and New Testaments. The most holy place was the innermost room in the temple. This was where the Ark of the Covenant was kept and where God's glory was said to dwell. This room was entered only a year by priests who performed a ceremony to atone for the nation's sins. The cherubim are mighty angels. The dimensions given would fit either the table of bread of presence or the incense altar. Okay, that's all we have for that. Looks like a little bit more description. One more, I guess, a couple more. So, okay, that's all we have for today. And I hope everybody has a glorious day, and we will talk to you later.